What's up guys, Gerald Alcaria here, yo! And today we're going to talk about bonds, right? That's how you read it, bonds. Okay, so we'll have a short review about bonds. So, what is bonds? So, a bond or bonds is a promissory document being issued by the debtor stating the acknowledgement of the debt and the pledge to pay back the loan amount. That's the short review, right? Very short. Without further ado, let's go to the examples, shall we? First example, Mr. Dominguez purchased 106% bonds from ALB Finance Corporation. Each bond has a face value of 1,000 pesos and were purchased at 960 pesos. The bonds mature in 5 years. So, the questions were, how much will Mr. Dominguez receive as his dividend for all the bonds if dividends are paid semi-annually? The second question is, it's not a question actually, I'm sorry, is to compute for its maturity value. The third one is, after the maturity date, how much is the total earnings of Mr. Dominguez? So the first thing to do is to determine how much will Mr. Dominguez receive as his dividend if all the dividends are paid semi-annually. So the given from the problem is face value is equal to 1,000 pesos, the number of bonds is equal to 100, interest rate is equal to 6%, converting it to decimal is equal to 0.06. The purchase price is equal to 960 pesos. The time of maturity is 5 years. So the first thing to do is to determine how much will Mr. Dominguez receive as his dividend if all the dividends are paid semi-annually. So the first thing to do is to multiply the face value by the interest rate to get the dividend for each bond for 1 year. So there you have it, the face value multiplied by the interest rate. 1,000 pesos multiplied by 0.06 is equal to 60 pesos. The next thing to do is to multiply the dividend of each bond for 1 year to the time of maturity in decimal. There you have it, the dividend for each bond for 1 year multiplied by the time of maturity. Is equals to 60 pesos times 0.5 is equal to 35 pesos. So the next thing to do is to multiply the number of bonds by the semi-annual dividend for each bond for 1 year to get the semi-annual dividend for each bond for 100 bonds. So there you go, 30 pesos is the dividend for each bond for 1 year multiplied by 100, that is the number of bonds, is equal to 3,000 pesos. That is the semi-annual dividend for each bond for 100 bonds. So Mr. Dominguez will receive 3,000 pesos as his dividend for each bond if all dividends were paid semi-annually. To find the maturity value, simply multiply the number of bonds by the face value. So there you have it, the maturity value is equal to face value times 100 bonds. So 1,000 pesos times 100 is equal to 100,000. So to determine the earnings, simply add the maturity value and the total dividends and subtract it to the total number of the purchase price multiplied by the total number of bonds. So there we have it, the earnings is equal to maturity value plus total dividends minus the quantity of purchase price multiplied by the total bonds. So 100,000 pesos plus 3,000 minus the quantity of 960 pesos times 100. So 103,000 pesos minus 96,000 pesos is equal to 7,000. That's it. Let's head for another example. Mrs. Gonzaga purchased 100 bonds with 7% from the CBN Finance Corporation. Each bond has a face value of 2,600 pesos and were purchased at a price of 1,150 pesos. The bonds mature in 5 years. The questions are, how much will Mrs. Gonzaga receive as his dividend for all the bonds if dividends are paid semi-annually? The second question, the statement rather, is to compute for its maturity value. The third question is, after the maturity date, how much is the total earnings of Mrs. Gonzaga? So the first step is still to multiply the face value by the interest rate. So that would be that was for the dividend for each bond for 1 year. Now, we have to determine the semi-annual dividend for each bond. So how do we do that? We determine the semi-annual dividend for each bond through using the formula the time of maturity multiplied by the dividend for each bond for 1 year. So the time of maturity is 5 years. Convert it to decimal, which is 0.5. So 0.5 multiplied by the dividend for each bond for 1 year, which is 182 pesos, is equals to 91 pesos. See that? Next is to determine the semi-annual dividend for each bond for 100 bonds. So how do we do that? We do that through multiplying the semi-annual dividend for each bond by the number of bonds. So the semi-annual dividend for each bond is 91 pesos multiplied by the number of bonds, which is 100. So 91 pesos times 100 is equal to 9,100. So Mrs. Gonzaga will receive 9,100 pesos as her dividend for all the bonds if dividends are paid semi-annually. To find the maturity value, simply multiply the number of bonds by the face value.
So there you have it, the face value multiplied by the number of bonds. So 2,600 pesos multiplied by 100. There you have it, the result.
So the maturity value will be 260,000 pesos. To determine the earnings, we simply use the formula maturity value plus the total dividends minus the quantity of the purchase price multiplied by the number of bonds.
So there we go, the earnings is equal to maturity value plus total dividends minus the quantity of the purchase price multiplied by the total bonds. So 260 pesos plus 9,100 minus the quantity of 1,150 pesos multiplied by 100. So add the maturity value first and the total dividends. So 260,000 pesos plus 9,100 pesos is equals to 269,100 pesos minus the quantity of the purchase price multiplied by the total bonds. So 1,150 pesos multiplied by 100, so that would be 115,000 pesos. So 269,100 pesos subtracted or minus 115,000 pesos. There you have it, the result.
The total earnings of Mrs. Gonzaga will be 154,000 pesos.
Tomorrow.
Hey guys, Gerald here, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learned something new about bonds. So that's it for me.